Hi, everyone. My name is Dana McKinney, and I am the Division Chief of Business Services and Outreach for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. And so I saw a lot of your questions in the chat about getting connected with business services. And so I'm joined here by Janet, and we're here to kind of, help walk you through our services for employers and a little bit about our services for job seekers. Janet, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Janet Wislowski. I am the Business Services Representative Specialist for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. And we are really excited to be here with you today to talk about OVR and the services for hiring and retaining people with disabilities in the workforce.
Perfect. Thanks, Janet. So we just wanted to welcome everyone today and just to talk a little bit about how the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, or OVR, helps employers hire and retain individuals with disabilities. Our focus will be on the importance of partnerships and in supporting the employment of job seekers with disabilities. Our mission, our mission is to serve people to secure and maintain employment and independence. We are a state agency under the Department of Labor and Industry. OVR provides services to help support job seekers with disabilities to obtain and maintain employment, both directly and through a network of approved vendors. So essentially, we are a jobs program. All individuals we serve have a goal of becoming employed, and the preferred outcome is in competitive integrative employment. And what that means is the preferred outcome for job seekers with disabilities is to work alongside individuals without disabilities, making the same wage, receiving the same benefits, and having the same opportunity for advancement. Here's a chart of how we're organized. Like I said, we're under the Department of Labor and Industry, where we have the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation Services. There are 15 district offices across the state under this bureau. We also have a Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services with 6 district offices across the state. And the difference between the two, the Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services works specifically on helping people that are blind or have low vision and obtain employment. And then the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation Services helps all disabilities. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation. We also have the Hiram G. Andrews Center, which houses our Commonwealth Technical Institute. And that really is, they have programs designed for supporting job seekers with disabilities in technical training. So there's a welding program there. They have a business networking program. And so it's a really great place for job seekers that are looking for additional training to learn in a supported environment. And then we have the Bureau of Central Operations, which is in Harrisburg, and that is where Janet and I are located. And we, our division, Business Services and Outreach Division, helps provide technical assistance to all of the field offices that you see listed here below, and developing long-lasting partnerships that lead into meaningful employment for job seekers with disabilities. And so what we do, OVR offers a continuum of services to support the individual needs of job seekers with disabilities to overcome their barriers to employment. I think it's also important to note that we also support employees retain their jobs. And so sometimes an employee who has been a reliable, productive member of your team may start facing new challenges. And this could be due to an injury, illness, a progressive condition like arthritis, diabetes, or a mental health issue. And at times the condition may not be immediately obvious, but it starts to impact their ability to perform their job. And this is where OVR can step in. We work with employers to help those employees continue working by offering retention services. The goal is to address these challenges early on, preventing the need for the employee to leave their job or for you as an employer to go through the costly process of hiring and training someone new. And so if you're a person with a disability that impacts your employment goals and you want to work, OVR can help you. Some examples of types of disabilities. So OVR serves individuals with a wide range of disabilities, including visible and non-visible conditions such as autism, learning disabilities, mobility impairments, mental health conditions, and you can see many others. So before we get started with our presentation, I thought that it would be good to just dispel some of the myths. And so, for example, some believe that employees with disabilities have higher absentee rates, but research shows that's not true. Employees with disabilities have the same absentee and sick rates as employees without disabilities. Industry reports consistently rate workers with disabilities as average or above average in performance, quality, and quantity of work, flexibility to demands, and attendance and safety. Employees with disabilities often demonstrate high levels of engagement and commitment to their roles, which contributes to consistent attendance. Another myth is that they are more likely to have workplace accidents, but again, studies indicate they are not more accident prone. In fact, many employees with disabilities develop a strong sense of safety due to their lived experiences and the need to navigate their environments carefully, which can contribute to a safer workplace for everyone. Go to the next slide. And so another common misconception is that accommodating employees with disabilities is expensive. In reality, 59% of accommodations cost nothing, and many others have a one-time cost of $500 or less, and this is according to the Job Accommodation Network. Additionally, hiring employees with disabilities does not increase workers' compensation insurance rates. Workers' compensation insurance rates are based on industry risk factors, including the nature of work and the organization's past accident experience. Insurers assess risk based on overall workplace safety, not on the disabilities of individual employees. So the next thing that I wanted to show with everybody is I actually do want to show Maggie's story. So I am going to reshare. And we'll hope that this works. Sorry, I want to make sure that we can, oh, I don't have control over the, okay, this may not work. I don't have control over adjusting the audio, so that will be shared out for everybody. And, oh, hold on, sorry.
We practiced this, so hopefully.
Okay, let's see if this works.
There you go. All right.
Maggie is a very interesting lady. She's a really creative person. She's got a lot of talent. She's kind. She just loves her pet rabbits.
Oh, she's a pistol.
I am not. I don't know what you're talking about.
She likes to boss us around.
I make fried chicken, rotisserie chickens, all the dinner stuff. I do a lot.
At first, she was a little hesitant to try new things, but we got her doing about everything now.
Yep. I like the people that I work with because they're very friendly, and I like being able to do different jobs. Like, I don't like having to do the same thing every day.
Good morning. How are you ladies? You loving it?
Yep.
You loving her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, you work her hard?
I try.
Every day I learned something new. So with Maggie, I learned just because they're one way in the sheltered workshop doesn't mean that they're gonna carry that out.
So you're cutting your own meat now, right? You got your certificate? 100% I hear.
Yeah.
100% on your tests? So when are you gonna start running the register?
She was getting to the point where there was no challenge here at the workshop, and she knew she could do more, but it took a while to convince her that she could do more.
We'd always known that Maggie has the ability to maintain employment competitively, but there were some concerns with attendance here and there.
I actually had one of the highest productivity here because I'm one of the fastest workers, but my attendance wasn't very good because I didn't like it, so I didn't show up.
She came to her program specialist here at Futures and asked him about going out in the community. So the process started.
Work assessment, which is what we utilize to give individuals the opportunity to try different jobs so that we can get a sense of not only what are you interested in, what do you like to do, but also what kinds of support are you going to need and what levels of support.
When we took her out for community-based work assessments, one of the places we went to was TOPS. And the supervisor there asked her at the end of her community-based work assessment, put an application in, we want you. And that just, Maggie's confidence just skyrocketed.
We do Caesar buffalo tender, turkey, tuna, and chicken salad. And then that's all the dinner stuff and all the salads that we gotta make today. I'm a busy girl. I feel better about myself when I'm working in the community because I just feel like I'm giving back. For the most part, my boss loves me, my coworkers love me. It's really easy to fit in if you try.
She has a lot of friends here, and she's worked here a while. She feels comfortable. It's like a second home.
I haven't missed a day in 6 months.
It was never that she didn't want to work. She just didn't have that expectation of you're going to do this, and if you don't do this, there's going to be a clear consequence.
I've been working with her now for going on 12 years. So from when I started and now, it's just amazing to see that difference.
Teachers helped me, and they pushed me to do it. And they're all proud of me.
So I thought it was important, we thought it was important to share that success story because job goals do not stay the same. And so as you saw, Maggie was in a sheltered workshop to start with, but it was no longer meeting her job goal anymore. And so it was determined that we did services through OVR to reevaluate her job goal and to get her into to help her be employed in competitive integrative employment. And so that's an example of something that we do at OVR. And so we have two primary customers at OVR. We serve people with disabilities who I think you generally associate OVR with. If you know us, you know that we help individuals achieve employment. But we also serve our employer customers, and that's what business services is designed, that's our role. And so we have hired business services representatives for each one of those district offices that you saw on the earlier slide. And this staff is really dedicated to being that support for our employers and our partnerships. And so that's something new. We've always had that role, but we've made it an initiative within the last 6 months to really bring those folks on and to really help us develop long-lasting partnerships to help employ job seekers with disabilities. And so the main goal, like I said, of outreach is connecting OVR job seekers to local employment opportunities by building positive, long-lasting relationships. And so we really want those business services representatives to be that point of contact for businesses to get in touch with us if they are interested in learning more about hiring people with disabilities or retaining somebody with disabilities. And later on in the presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about the no-cost services that OVR has for businesses. I'm going to turn this over to Janet.
Okay, thanks, Dana. So as Dana mentioned, we serve a variety of individuals with different plans for employment. And so some of the services that we provide to our customers include counseling and guidance. So that really starts right in the beginning. When you start meeting with your OVR counselor, that's when you're going to talk about what your goals are, what are your interests, and then we're going to come up with a plan on how to try to achieve those goals through services. We have pre-employment transition services. So that's the folks that are going to get ready to come out of high school. And so what's going to happen and how do we expose students to work experiences and employers while they're in school? How do we make sure that they know what their interests and abilities are? Let's do some workplace tours and mock interviewing. So we like to think about, starting to get people ready before they leave high school and what are they going to do after high school with regard to employment. We do diagnostic services. If folks come to us and, we're not really sure what's happening, maybe we want to find out about certain limitations, we can provide diagnostic services. We provide vocational evaluations, and that's kind of what in the video they talked about a community-based assessment. There's vocational evaluations. We do a lot of different assessments to make sure that we've got a good picture of the individual and their interest, aptitudes, abilities. Types of restoration services, those would be things like we can help with, let's just say, wheelchairs or home modifications. If somebody's having difficulty getting in and out of the house to get to work. We have folks that have prosthetics, so making sure that the physical barriers and the challenges are addressed in restoration services so that when they're ready to go to employment, those things are not a barrier anymore. We provide training, so we've got lots of folks in training. As you know, there's skills that are going to be necessary for specific employment goals. So we try to make sure that if somebody needs training towards those goals, then we help to provide that. I mentioned the vehicle and home modifications. So if somebody needs to get to and from work, those would be things that we could help with. Placement services, which is where business services and outreach comes in. So now that we've gotten through all of the rehabilitation, we know what somebody wants to do, we've gotten the training, now we're going to talk about, okay, we're going to go to get a job. And we also provide assistance with small business startup. So you can see that this is not even an exhaustive list. This is just sort of a brief list of services, but the most important thing to remember about services with OVR is that they are individualized. So I did see, a few questions about different levels of education and training. And so, yes, I mean, we help everybody. We want people to reach their goals and to their level of abilities. And so that's why it's really important to make sure that everybody knows that OVR services are very individualized. And I know Dana mentioned we have our Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services. And so they work exclusively with the folks that have visual impairments, blindness, and they have a little bit of a different program because they're not just limited to employment. So they do independent living skills, daily living skills. They have orientation and mobility instructors to help learn how to travel independently, and specific blindness skills training. And then we have the HGAC, the Hiram G. Andrews Center. And so when we're talking about training, OVR has their own in-house technical training facility at the Hiram G. Andrews Center. If you haven't been there, it's in Johnstown. It's really cool. It's been around for a long time, and I believe it's 10 acres under roof. So it's an entirely accessible, physically accessible facility with in-house training programs. The students live there. And so they love doing tours. And so if you'd like to go check out HGAC, we encourage you to do that.
So Janet, do we want to answer some of these questions? So Amanda asked, do you have a similar video, a success story involving someone highly educated finding meaningful work?
Okay,
we don't. Go ahead.
I did see that. And so I think this is great. And I love that you asked that, because we have, Dana mentioned, we're hiring business services representatives, and we've challenged them to come back to us with success stories. We want more of these type of stories. And so anybody that we see that we think is a demonstration of how it worked, partnerships with the community, partnerships with OVR, and individual success, we are open to those, and we are actively seeking those stories to share with people. Is there anything else, Dana, that you wanted to say on that?
I don't. I just want to reiterate that we work with all people yes. with disabilities if there's a barrier to employment. And so I know that a lot of the focus goes on people that are, for these talks today, the Project Invest is specifically for people that are in sheltered workshops or to prevent them from going into sheltered workshops. But I hope that you can see from this slide that we are really designed with a continuum of services that offer support to all, people with disabilities, as long as they are determined eligible for OVR. So that we aren't an entitlement agency, you do have to be eligible for our services. And then some of the other questions here are also, are there government jobs available or just corporate ones? And we can help you find whatever job you are looking for that is within your employment goals. So we have connections, we can help make connections. Like Janet said, that's the role of our business services rep. And then what about self-employment? I think that Janet covered that on this slide. We do offer small business startup and self-employment. And how often is the required meeting frequency with OVR? Janet, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so you will have to meet with OVR. There are different ways to meet with us, and we have in-person meetings, office meetings. You can meet them in the community, virtually. And that just, helps to develop that relationship and the plan. And in terms of keeping up with meetings, of course, we expect individual participation. If for some reason somebody can't attend a meeting, then it would be the same as if you couldn't attend any other meeting. So it's not like there's, these required things that you have to do, but you would individually make those appointments with your OVR counselor. And if something came up, then you would just reschedule just like you would any other appointment. But yes, I think it's really important to reiterate that we've got folks in careers from entry level to top corporate level, doctors, lawyers, teachers, trades workers, so we have people everywhere. And in fact, it's interesting because we're going to talk more about how sometimes when you have an employer, you don't know that you've got folks with disabilities in the workforce, because they are working alongside you and they may have an OVR case, but you wouldn't know. So we've got people in all facets of all careers.
Perfect.
Okay, so these are some of the employer services we're going to talk about, because that's where our specialty is in the business services and outreach division. So these are some of the services that we offer for employers and businesses at no cost. So we can offer candidates. Obviously our best asset is our people, and we can pre-screen them. We make sure they're qualified. That's really our best asset there. So that's number one. And again, helping to retain current employees. employers can be a referral source to OVR. When we go talk to businesses and employers, we say to them, listen, if you've got someone who comes to you or comes to one of your HR representatives and you feel you need some support there, please encourage them to contact us. You know, anybody can refer themselves to OVR at any time, and we'll get things moving. And we can offer accommodation solutions. So if something's been identified that is a challenge, we can come in there and do an evaluation. We work with outside vendors, depending on what they are. Maybe it's ergonomic, maybe it's technology, maybe it's scheduling, you know, but we will talk about those things and come up with some suggestions. We can do those analysis of work sites. So a good example of that would be somebody who's blind who uses the white cane. They can have an O&M instructor come on and orient them to the work site, so they make sure they know where their workstation is, where the restrooms are, where the break room is, things like that. We can access if the facility is accessible to individuals with disabilities. So maybe there's a location and they want us to come in and do a consultation on that. We can provide information about assistive technology solutions. We definitely want to start to get out there as much as possible. We are providing disability awareness training in the community, ADA consultations to businesses, all of these at no cost. We want to follow up. We want to maintain relationships with employers by offering these services, because this helps our serving our two customers. When folks are saying, which employers do you work with? These are the employers that we want to work with. These are the employers, if they're working with us on making sure that our place is accessible, making sure that that they want to hire people with disabilities, that it's an inclusive environment. These are the employers we want to work with. So that's why we're trying to offer some of these services on our end, so that when we've got folks that are ready for work, we've got these partnerships. So we're going to follow along. We're going to hopefully we have our BSR business services representatives out there in the community now, and they're going to be maintaining these relationships, checking in, seeing how things are going with employers. And then, of course, there's financial incentives. We go and talk to employers about on-the-job training. That's OJT, so on-the-job training reimbursement. So if somebody can come on and learn the tasks of the job on the job, we will reimburse the employer for part of their wages for a certain period of time. And that can really be beneficial to any employer, specifically even small businesses, because they can use that money to invest back into their business. And then there are various tax credits as well. So we talk to employers about all of these things to try to promote that competitive work environment and inclusive work environment.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give you the 2-minute warning.
Oh, Diane, I thought we went to 2:30. Yeah, 2:20.
2:30.
Let me see. Yes, you're right.
We really better hurry up then.
Pardon me.
Okay. You scared us.
I know I talked a lot, but I didn't think of that whole time.
It's the half hour. It's the half-hour warning.
Okay, thanks. I better speed it up.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so OVR uses a single point of contact model. And so these are going to be where a lot of our business service representatives are. And this model is used to maintain and connect with businesses through one person, right? Or maybe two people. We've got a supervisor. But we don't want to have 25 OVR counselors calling the same employer. We really want to make sure that we've got a point of contact that employer can use, and then we will funnel any of the questions or anything that we need to do. And that's where that single point of contact model comes in. So it tries to keep that consistency and quality. And the local business service teams use that single point of contact model. They'll identify 1 or 2 people to work directly with the employers, some of our vendors, and the internal staff, just all to do that coordination. And by having that one single point of contact, it allows OVR to function in that same professional manner as their other partners. So it's just a way that we want to keep building and maintaining those relationships. And we've heard recently about employer fatigue, right? So if you have an employer who's has community partners and education and workforce and career link and OVR and all of these folks coming at them to say, hey, we you know, what can we do to hire people with disabilities? It can become confusing, I think. And so we just really want to try to narrow down the amount of people that are coming into contact with employers. And that's where that single point of contact model comes in.
And so I talked a little bit about this earlier, but we do offer services along a continuum that provide varying levels of support to meet the individual needs of people with disabilities, while also meeting the hiring needs of OVR's business partners to help adults, students, and youth become permanently employed in competitive integrated environments. And so our services, you know, we use work-based learning experiences to match businesses and job seekers in low risk, no risk settings. And some of these work experiences are not only helpful for youth, but they also are helpful for adults that are, you know, exploring different career paths or different careers. And so these are things like mock interviews, informational interviews, where we'll have a business come in and give information about their company, and then that allows for job seekers to interact with that business, ask questions, learn more about the company. And these are all sort of no risk, low risk situations where it's putting an employer in touch with job seekers and job seekers in touch with employers. So each are learning about each other, honestly. This also rapidly engages job seekers in the VR process. So we want to get people involved in employment right away. So even though you may be in a training or you may be in college, we really want you to interact with employers and businesses. We really want you to start exploring what type of business you would like to work for. So just because you're in a training, there could be very many other, careers or job positions within that one career. And so we really just want our job seekers to be interacting with businesses as much as possible. And this continuum is really just strengthening our business relations. And so we want businesses to know that there are all these other services along this continuum, that you can hop on this continuum and get services, wherever you feel comfortable. So if you want to start in a low risk, no risk type of environment and you want to offer just a workplace tour for job seekers, we would love that. If you would like for us to come in and do a disability awareness training to really help build a more inclusive environment, we'll do that too. But our ultimate goal then is to really develop those positive relationships with business so that we can then employ people with disabilities into jobs that they want. And so that's where we have those hiring initiatives, those WOTC credits, those OJT wage reimbursement. But we don't want anybody to be scared off right away if that's not where you feel comfortable working with OVR. We have a variety of services that will benefit job seekers with disabilities just as much.
Okay, and so we can talk a lot about accommodations. I think this is really important. This is really where OVR can come in and be a good partner with an employer to come up with some solutions. So many times the accommodations can be anticipated, right? So we will have done a lot of the planning in advance. Hopefully there, once somebody gets on the job, maybe something comes up that we didn't anticipate, but a lot of these accommodation solutions can happen before actually starting the job. So that would be assistive technology. Somebody would need to know how to use, let's just say, for example, JAWS, which is the screen reading software. Somebody would already have had training with us. That would be part of the restoration services. So they would know how to use that. And maybe OVR would come in and say, how does that interface with this specific employer's computer? And that's how we would help there. Any type of mobility devices. So that would be something that would not be happening after the job. People will have an understanding of what they need to meet those job functions before getting to the workplace. And we will collaborate with employers, the providers, the community partners. We have rehabilitation engineers. There are just so many ways to come up with accommodations. We have askjan.org. So it really does take a team and a lot of different ideas to come up with solutions because it's very individualized. And so what is a reasonable accommodation? And that's any change in the work environment or the way things are customarily done that allows an individual with a disability to enjoy the equal employment opportunities. And so that could be during the application process, that could be in the work environment, at the physical facility itself, or in how the business process is done, and any other employment benefits. So there's an EEOC link there if you want to take a look at that. But again, we think of accommodations as ways to allow folks to perform the job functions, and we will work with businesses to come up with those solutions. And that's really where OVR can be a great partner to employers and individuals. Okay, and so here's some types of accommodations. So I mentioned a few: screen readers, JAWS, any type of computer software. You may have a change in schedule. Maybe there's a little bit more of a flexible schedule that somebody could have, if that's a possibility, that wouldn't impact the operations of the company. You could maybe alter break times. If somebody has to take medication at a certain time, maybe there would be some flexibility there to allow someone to go and administer medication if it was at a certain time. Maybe there's telework opportunities, ways to work from home on certain days. Using different job aids, which is interesting because that leads to a concept of universal design. Sometimes some of the things that folks with disabilities use really would benefit everybody. And so those are always ways to think about universal design. Changing the work environment, maybe modifying a workstation. I know somebody today mentioned the sit and stand desk. If somebody needs to get up and stretch, or that would allow, that's a fairly simple modification that would allow somebody to maybe get up and down if they need to. Different types of equipment, maybe changing some of the tasks or reorganizing. You could even make flow charts of how things are supposed to be done. So that could be an accommodation, is changing how the directions are given. So maybe they were spoken in an orientation, but maybe we need a checklist. I know that those simple things have helped. A very simple, what we would consider assistive technology would just simply be like a voice recorder. So I need to remember a few of these tasks in a certain order. I'm going to speak it into this recorder. That way, if I forget, I can just hit play. It tells me right away what's happening, and I can move on to the next thing. So there's very high level, and then there's, very simple things that can be accommodations. And so if things don't work, we can try different things. And that's really what accommodations are. Maybe reassigning job tasks or having flexible leave usage. And we also provide supported employment. So we have individuals that may need a little bit more support on the job. And so this is a little bit more of an intensive method of providing vocational rehabilitation services. So these are the folks that may need more intense support prior to employment, during the application process, and even after services to maintain employment. So this is where we would coordinate on the waiver program. So maybe we start with an individual, we work with them, we provide counseling and guidance, we come up with our plan. The plan includes supported employment. So we will contract out with a community provider, like the one you saw in the video, right? So that community provider will be the person that goes to the job site and helps the person learn the job tasks. And then eventually we will fade, or we will make a plan to transition over into long-term supports. But the key points of this are that it is in a competitive integrated environment. The ongoing supports are provided from a third party. So OVR is funding those providers to provide those services to people. based on their individual needs, and that's on-site support. So we actually have folks going on the job and helping people learn the job tasks. So when supported employment is happening, they are actually employed by the business. And so we are just providing the external supports on top of any other training that they might get as an employee there. And also we can go in and offer wage reimbursement. So it's just a really great incentive for an employer to say, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's give this a shot. We'll reimburse your wages for the set amount of time. And it's just a great way for a partnership to be established, because we can say, look at all of this support you have. Not only can we provide individual support, we provide other people to help in case there's any challenges. You've got us as a point of contact if something comes up, and we can reimburse the wages as well. And so these are other types of on-the-job support. So they can be provided directly on the work site. So here are the tasks that you need to learn. The person will physically go to the work site, help learn the task, make sure they're being done up to the satisfaction of the employer, work alongside the other worksite trainers that are there. And that's where it's a really strong example in supported employment of that collaborative effort to support the individual to meet their job goal in that community environment, because we're working with all of our community agencies to provide these supports. So we can help them with interviewing, doing the orientation stuff, doing the onboarding, learning those job tasks, making sure that everybody learns the job and is meeting the expectations of the workplace. So then, we will try to develop those natural supports on the job. Ideally, when the supported employment contract is over, then they're fading out and that person has the ability to do the job. And as I mentioned, if that's not the case and there will be a need for ongoing support, we have the ability to partner and try to move over to waiver funding if that's what the individual would need. And I see a question there, and it says, just to clarify, on-the-job supports does not serve as a supervisor or replacement of one. The employer is still to have supervisory staff. Yes, absolutely, you're right. So a job coach would come in addition to anybody else that's at the worksite training. They're just additional support for that specific employee to learn their job tasks. But yes, we want the employer and their managers and their team to be involved, because ideally we are going to fade out. Okay, and so we're talking about job coaching. And so job coaching, it's synonymous with supported employment. So job coaching is the actual task of doing the job coaching. So they're professionals who are trained to support individuals with disabilities in understanding the duties of the job, adapting to that workplace environment, getting there, showing up on time, even the soft skills things that maybe people need to learn, those type of things. The job coach can provide that type of support to enhance their job performance. And it's not only beneficial for the employee with a disability, but also for the employer and the workforce, because it is promoting and showing that inclusive and supportive work environment. And oftentimes we will collaborate with ODP, OLTL, PDE, all the acronyms, to navigate the state system so that the customer gets the support they need. So we want to make sure that if they need those long-term supports, who is the right agency? Do they have the supports coordinator? What is the time frame here till we transition over? So all of those things are really important to making sure that we have these partnerships and long-term employment. Okay, and then we've got the business bottom line. So this is what we want businesses to know. Businesses will benefit from working with people with disabilities, and hiring people with disabilities will positively impact a business bottom line. When you're recruiting and retaining workers with disabilities, it counters the effects of the aging and shrinking workforce. There are so many untapped labor market sources here. We've got many, many skilled employees that want to work and that want to contribute to increasing retention and reducing turnover. And that is where we come into play as a team and a group. So that's the bottom line, is that hiring people with disabilities will positively impact the business overall. And here's some resources for you. So we've got the Mid-Atlantic ADA Center. We've got the EEOC here. We've got Jan, which is awesome. You can go in there and say, okay, what kind of accommodations might be good for these types of jobs? And then we've got the Disability and Employment Guide from the U.S. Department of Education. I would throw ONET in there. If you're not familiar with ONET, you can go on there and look at different types of jobs that are, I believe it's just onet.org. But there's so many different resources. Please take a look at these and let us know how we can help you.
Are there any other questions that we didn't get to answer?
There was one about CareerLink, Dana. What is our relationship with CareerLink?
So we're a partner. We are all workforce partners, and we are a partner of CareerLink, and we work closely with them. And so our business services representatives are part of their business services teams, and we really want to make sure that we are partnering with them. And so they have workshops that our customers can be referred to, and we can do some braiding of funding with their OJTs. And so yes, Workforce is our partner.
I don't see any other questions. Let's see here.
And I
Dana's
just
put some links in there. Yeah, you put some links in there for our office directory. You can email our business services and outreach division directly if you're an employer and you're interested in working with us and partnering. We always love to hear from employers. If you know of an employer in your community that would want to partner with us, let us know. Maybe you've got small businesses out there that you think, wow, this is great. They can get some tax credits. They can have some on-the-job training. Get in touch with us. We want to be out there. Maybe you work for an employer that wants us to do some disability awareness training for your organization. Give us a call. We've got people all over the state that can help. So this is what we do, and we're happy to do it.
I'll just add too, if you're a job seeker with disabilities that is looking to sign up for OVR, I put the OVR office directory into the chat. That would be your best bet, is to look. You can also do it through the CareerLink website to apply for OVR services, but you can also look up the directory of an office near you and then call that office, and then they can help you also through the application process. Well, thanks, everyone. We really appreciate your time. Hopefully you'll stick around. We have an employer panel next, so I'll turn it back over to Diana.
Thanks, everyone.